Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a quiet village, there lived a sweet little girl. She always wore a red hood. Because of this, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, her mother gave her a basket of food. She said, "Take this to your grandmother. She lives in the forest, but do not leave the path." Little Red Riding Hood promised to listen. She happily set out with her basket. The sun shone through the trees. The forest looked bright and calm. But in the shadows, a great wolf was waiting. He greeted her politely. He asked where she was going. The little girl did not know his plan. She told him about her grandmother's house. The wolf quickly thought of a trick. "Why not pick some flowers?" he asked. "Your grandmother will be so pleased." Little Red Riding Hood smiled and bent down to gather flowers. While she lingered, the wolf ran ahead. He reached the grandmother's house first. He opened the door and rushed inside. The poor grandmother had no time to escape. The wolf swallowed her in one gulp. Then he put on her nightgown. He climbed into bed. Soon after, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage. She knocked softly on the door. She stepped inside and saw her grandmother in bed. But something looked very strange. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have." "The better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Grandmother, what big ears you have." "The better to hear you with, my dear." "Grandmother, what big teeth you have." "The better to eat you with," growled the wolf. With one gulp, he swallowed Little Red Riding Hood too. Just then, a huntsman passed by the cottage. He heard heavy snoring inside. He stepped in and saw the sleeping wolf. At once, he knew what had happened. He spoke calmly to keep the room quiet. He lifted his knife with steady hands. He carefully opened the wolf's belly. Out came Grandmother, safe and alive. Out came Little Red Riding Hood, safe and alive. They both took a deep breath. The huntsman nodded with relief. They filled the wolf's belly with heavy stones. They did it gently and quickly. When the wolf awoke, he felt weak and heavy. He stumbled to his feet and ran away. He he never came back to the forest again. Little Red Riding Hood hugged her grandmother tightly. Tears of joy shone in her eyes. "I was so worried," she whispered. "I will never leave the path again," she said. "I will always listen to Mother's words." The huntsman smiled and closed the door. The wolf was gone from the forest. His shadow no longer frightened them. Peace returned to the little cottage. Little Red Riding Hood kissed her grandmother. She promised to visit again soon. Grandmother smiled warmly. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood was wiser. She was careful in the forest. And from then on, she listened to the wise advice. Good night from Safira Dreams. May your dreams be filled with wonder, and may every story bring peace. Safira Dreams, where stories become dreams.